All right, everybody. I'm sure if you're on the left or you've been in politics or on the internet for a while now, then you've probably heard the term breeder passed around, like not like a dog breeder or whatever, but like used as a derogatory insult, usually for conservatives. I imagine you're familiar with this, but for people who aren't, it is a phrase that refers to like straight people that don't really seem like they actually love their significant other. They just kind of rush into a marriage and start pumping out babies because they've been taught from a young age that, like, having a bunch of kids is, like, the end goal of life, and that's what they need to do. There's actually a proper name for this movement. It's called the pronatalist movement. One of the people most known for pushing this movement is Elon Musk. It's the reason he says he's got 12 children and growing. He says that for as long as he is able to, he's going to continue impregnating women and having children, because the idea is that if each of them can have as many or even a fraction of as many kids as he has, then within, like, 6 or 7 generations, they will outnumber the rest of the human population, their bloodline. That's the, like, argument that's being made, and mathematically, that is true if you assume generations of, like, potentially hundreds of thousands of kids choose to make the same decisions as the previous, you know? It's not... I don't think this is actually going to be a real deal movement, but there's been this couple, they're called the Collins, and they've started getting a lot of attention as, like, the forefront advocates for the pronatalist movement. And apparently a year ago, Piers Morgan had the wife on for, like, an interview tell-all type thing to talk about her beliefs. And this is the wife, at least. I don't know if the husband is here, but this is the wife, at least, of this couple that is currently going viral and popularizing this whole, like, Genghis Khan wannabe, like, fucking pronatalist movement, where it's all about, like, we need to mathematically produce, like, 4 to the power of 10 children in order to, like, create a powerful bloodline. It's some real weird shit.
Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. The UN says there'll be 11 billion humans by the year 2100, sparking warnings of overpopulation, risk famine, disease.
I love how simultaneously underpopulation, dropping birth rates, and overpopulation are, like, going to end the world. It's like, which one? Which one is it? Or is it maybe the overwhelming scientific consensus that our population is actually going to steady out quite soon? There is a cap on how much our population is expected to grow. In fact, the dropping birth rates in Western nations that tend to be more developed is an example of how those that population growth levels out. Because once quality of life is higher and you don't need to have as many kids, because sometimes it is a matter of needing to have kids, by the way, people tend to have less and things tend to level out. Ironically enough, populations tend to naturally fit into what the ecosystem, in our case the whole planet, is able to accommodate. If the Earth wasn't able to accommodate as many people, we would very quickly stop having as many people. There's not a shortage of resources or space or anything like that on this planet. The real problem is distribution of said resources. I mean, hell, look at how much fresh, perfectly good produce gets thrown out each year just from American farms and orchards, just because it doesn't look pretty enough to, like, sit on a shelf and be immediately attractive. Like, oh, it has a bruise in it. Still perfectly fine. It literally won't hurt you, but it's not pretty enough. Throw it into the fucking pile to rot. Like, mountains of rotting food. And yeah, it's like, we don't have a shortage of resources. Everything has to be monetized, and there's a lot of people who can't afford those monetized things needed to live. We're estimated to max out between 8 to 10 billion and then shrink and settle down around 4 to 6 billion by scientists. I don't think it'll drop back down to 4 to 6. I think it's going to probably stay around 8 to 10 billion. But yeah, I have heard that 8 to 10 billion is when it's going to cap off. I have not heard that it's going to shrink down to 4 to 6, though. That's literally like 2 billion less people than there are alive now. I don't believe that we're going to drop down to 4 billion people. That's unlikely. I mean, maybe. No, maybe. Because so much of the population is made up for by, like, a lot of it is India. And India doesn't have, like, or up until recently, had very low quality of, like, standard of life like generally on average, and it's rapidly rising. The quality of life in India, one of the most populated, if not the most populated countries in the whole world. So that's going to bring about a drop in birth rates. India is going to have a massive birth rate drop, and I imagine China will too. I believe that like a massive proportion of the world's population exists in Myanmar. Myanmar is quickly getting internet, and while they're falling into fascism, improving quality of life is going to mean less dropping birth rates there too. So I mean, if you look at these countries that are like extremely low quality of life and which tend to have the highest populations as well and the highest birth rates, those birth rates are likely to drop as the quality of life in those countries gets higher. So maybe we do settle around 6 to 4 billion people when every country in the world is at a relatively high quality of life and people have like however many kids they want to have. It's very possible. China already has. Yeah, China's birth rates are dropping. Yeah.
Conflict and even complete societal collapse. On the polar opposite side of that debate, though, are the pronatalists, elite Silicon Valley couples who say birth rates are going to fall and we should all breed more to save humanity. Elon Musk is their most famous advocate.
Yep.
He's one of the smartest guys in the world. The world's richest man and one of the cleverest, has 10 of his own kids and claims
he's also the first man to ever lose $200 billion.
Claims population collapse due to low birth rates is a much bigger risk to civilization than global warming. Meanwhile, down the road in Montecito, that...
God, remember when Elon Musk's entire grift started with the idea that climate change is like a big problem and his electric vehicles are going to stop it? Like, I was willing to look past a lot of Elon Musk's cringe for a long time because of how much he was doing for, like, the electric car industry, and he was, if anything, popularizing belief in climate change among his followers because he talked about it as a problem that he was solving, implying it's real. But now that like the majority of his audience are conservatives, he's completely dropped climate change being real. He says it's not real, it's a hoax. And in that case, it's like, why the fuck is he making electric vehicles then? Do you think he'll start pivoting to gas vehicles now? Coal vehicles? That would be hilarious. He fucking pivots to coal-powered fucking Cybertrucks or something. That would be hysterical. That would be genuinely hysterical. Like, you got a fucking steam engine that you got to constantly shovel coal into, and it's like, this is the Trump Cybertruck, powered by 100% clean American coal. Like, big fucking Trump smile face, like, just embezzled into the side of the Cybertruck.
World-renowned expert.
Fucking, what's the word for it? Embedded? Like, carved into? Embezzled.
On everything, Prince Harry told Vogue in 2019 that he capped the number of kids he's planning with Meghan to help save the world to 2 maximum, he said. He said, I've always thought this place is borrowed, and surely being as intelligent as we all are, at which point I'm afraid...
I think this shit's so fucking cringe. The people who are like, I need to have more babies because insert, like, world catastrophe thing, or I'm not going to have any babies simply because of insert doomer shit about the state of the world. It's like, okay, if those reasons are the only reason you're having or not having children, you're actually fucking weird and insane. Like, I respect your decision to have or not have children, but this justification for not having children, like, we're only going to have 2 children because we don't want to contribute to overpopulation, and, you know, get over yourself. I don't think Prince Harry's like this piece of shit conservatives say he is, but, like, this is very cringe virtue signaling, without a doubt. I don't like when people try to make their family rearing into some sort of, like, statement about the world. Like, it's your family. Get the fuck over it. Like, it's not, like, no one cares. Take care of your family. Love your family and be a good, like, family member. That's all we care about. Hey, Zan, do you think Trump will be placed in jail after his New York trial? No. He'll be found guilty. No jail time. That's my prediction. I did cover the trial stuff, though, earlier in the stream, if you want to rewind. Anyway, let's continue.
Afraid he lost me. Anyway, let's move on from Harry's quotes, because once he says that, he loses the argument. One couple at the centre of the pronatalist movement and the backlash to it are Simone and Malcolm Collins from Pennsylvania. Currently have 3 children, plan to expand their family to 7, and they join me now from Philadelphia. Well, welcome to both of you. So, Simone, let me start with you, if I may.
Okay. Is it just me, or do they dress like Nazi civilians? Like wealthy bourgeoisie Germans during Nazi Germany? I cannot I cannot be the only one that gets that vibe. From, like, their glasses, to their hairstyle, to their fucking clothing, to their energy. That, or they're, like, spies. Also, I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like, I think that this dude actually went, like, I think he underscored. Low-key. I think he married, like, under his league. I'm not even joking. I know she kind of looks pretty here from the side. I think this guy is actually more, like, well-to-do and put-together looking than she is. She has this freaky, like, crazy eyes look that's, like, really unsettling to me. I can't, like, not be bothered by it. It really throws me off. Like, you'll see when she looks at the camera. She's got crazy eyes. He kind of looks like a normal dude. He kind of looks like, who's the dude that plays Vigilante in Peacemaker? He kind of looks like that actor. I don't know. He looks like a normal dude. She looks like weird and crazy, you know? I feel like he almost, like, married under his league.
Because you're doing the physical side of this intensive breeding.
Yes, you get what I'm saying now, right? She's crazy. She has crazy face. I don't know why, but I feel like she hits him. I feel like she hits him. Like, if there's any domestic abuse occurring in this relationship, he's not the one doing it. She is. If there's any, like... Yeah, if there's anything like that happening in the relationship, she's the one victimizing him every day of the week. The fuck is wrong with their eyes? I mean, his eyes look relatively normal. He's just, like, looking, like, happy to be on TV. She looks like... I don't know. She looks like she's, like, trying to blow someone's fucking head up with her mind. Like, this is the kind of face that, like, the head popper in The Boys makes as she, like, pops someone's head. Crazy eyes? You don't see it? You have not met enough crazy women, my friend. Keep an eye out, okay? Take my word for it. Don't learn the hard way.
But it's very interesting because I've listened to Elon Musk about this, and he is absolutely adamant this is the biggest threat, actually, along with artificial intelligence, to mankind, is the reverse of what...
Elon Musk simultaneously saying AI is one of the biggest threats to mankind while making AI and promoting AI is, I mean, like, is he not just self-reporting there? That his interests do not align with that of mankind? I don't know. Interesting.
What most people think. It's actually a case of the population levels tumbling to a level which is going to endanger the planet. Explain to people who think that's ridiculous why that is a...
Wait. How do dropping population numbers of humans harm the planet? For one, the amount of resources produced are a function of how many people exist to work on the procurement and distribution and refinement and sale or further distribution of those resources, right? However, the amount of resources needed directly correlates with how many people there are that need resources, which correlates with how many people that can work. So typically, population to necessity to, like, workforce is always going to end up balancing itself out into, like, a pretty balanced, equal triangle. Like, that's just kind of how, like, the only way you can change that, I guess, would be if a nuclear apocalypse occurred and all of a sudden, like, 90% of humanity got wiped out. In that case, there would be far more people than there are, far more resources than there are people to use them up in a reasonable amount of time. I used to think, like, Fallout was unrealistic for there being so many resources still around for you to loot, like, 200 years into the apocalypse. But then you think about the fact that, like, what is it? 1% of humanity survived? When you think about the fact that the world, IRL, is filled right now, just sitting about, is enough resources to provide 1% to 10% of the world with enough to live off of for, like, God knows how long? Think about how far that would go. I know this is an extreme example, but, like, the idea that America or the world is in danger due to dropping population numbers is insane. The decline in not population, in birth rates correlates with higher quality of life every single time.
Real situation.
Yes, as soon as societies basically reach a level of modernity where there is prosperity, gender equality, high levels of education, populations start to drop below replacement rate. That's a pretty serious problem if it seems.
Oh my God, she sounds like 2016 Lauren Southern. Like, in every way, shape, and form. She sounds like 2016 Lauren Southern. Holy crap.
Seems like modernity and all the things that we consider to be good, like women's rights, like prosperity, like good quality of life, seem incompatible with flourishing humans.
It seems wild to me that we live in a world today where not a single country or culture, except for maybe Israel, has found out how to maintain a stable population alongside prosperity, gender equality, and education. This, as like a civilization, is probably something we should start talking about.
And I'd say once I heard I was having...
So, like, notice how it's all, like, canned nothing statements? Like, literally, it's just canned nothing statements. Just, like, modernity, feminism, equality means birth rates drop, and that's bad. How? In what way does a dropping population... of any amount, like I can understand if like 99% of humanity got wiped out. That's a pretty big problem. Although we're not talking about anyone getting wiped out, by the way. We're talking about, even she had to say, replacement rate. Replacement rate means somebody passes away of natural causes, or just a way they would have, you know, regardless. Are they replaced in a relatively short amount of time by another person being born to fill that gap in the census, in the total census numbers? At like, how long does it take for that gap to be filled, if ever? That isn't. No one's getting wiped out. No one's dying. It's literally just people are having less babies, and when you die, maybe it takes a little longer for like the population to recover to the point from your death where like your number in the census is there again, right? It doesn't affect you in any way, to be clear. Like, I've yet to see any evidence that underpopulation is going to be a problem, certainly in our lifetimes at all. Like, that's not been suggested, nor has overpopulation been suggested to be a problem. You know what has been suggested to be a problem? Localized low population. That is a worry. Localized population drops are a concern. That is to say, very specific areas might experience detrimental drops in population that can have an impact on local economy, agriculture, production, resource procurement, and even conservation efforts of that like area. So that's definitely a concern. But do you want to know what economists, sociologists, scientists, and like other ists all agree overwhelmingly is the best solution to that problem? Because the only other solution, quote unquote, is what these guys suggest, which is borderline eugenics. I mean, it literally is eugenics, actually. These guys have advocated for eugenics. Most of the pronatalism movement are publicly pro-eugenics. The only non-eugenic solution is immigration. Exactly, Ashroom. A lot of you guys already, you know, preempted it, but immigration. People are a resource, as Negan once said, and this has never been more true than in the realm of the market. The labor provided by immigrants, particularly south of the U.S.-Mexico border, is invaluable, especially because these are jobs that are currently not being filled by native-born Americans, nor are they being currently filled by automation. And the jobs need to be done. And the majority of those jobs are being taken because the only people who want them are immigrants. And that's not even touching on, like, migratory workers and stuff. Like, that's like, kind of immigrants also doing a bunch of that, like, type of labor as well, but it's more, it's not like, here is someone who is an illegal immigrant working under the table to, like, yeah. It's interesting. Like, the idea that these people love the economy and they love big business and they know the market and they know economics and everything, but they're also anti-immigration. It's because the culture war always, like, beats out economics and policy when it comes to talking about politics with this type of person.
You guys on as guests, I did read a lot about this, and it seems to be that the graph continues to rise, population, until around the middle of the century, but then it could start to fall precipitously after that.
Yeah, so if you look at fertility rates today, the only countries that really have above repopulation fertility rates are where the average salary is under 4,000.
Yet to have a way in which this is a bad thing explained, by the way. It's just like, isn't it scary that populations will drop? Because that, like, almost evokes the implication that people are dying off, right? It evokes that feeling, that dread. Like, clearly something's wrong if populations are dropping, but it's literally a natural result of quality of life increasing in a given area because people have as many kids as they want to, not as many kids as they need to, were forced to, or incidentally had.
£1,000 a year or 5,000 USD a year. So you're really only seeing high fertility rates in desperately poor countries right now. If you look at the developed world, the average fertility...
Yeah, he's making the argument that we need to be paid less so we have more kids because quality of life has been going up and that causes birth rates to drop. They are arguing we need to lower quality of life in America so people are forced to have more kids, like in the old days. They're pro-eugenics, just a different kind of eugenics than what comes to mind when you think of that word, you know?
Fertility rate is only around 1.5, and we need 2.1 just to keep...
Their goal is less so than, like, suppressing, and I'm sure maybe they're in favor of suppressing and, like, sterilizing non-white people or whatever, or non-Americans, non-whatever they're in favor of. But their strategy, what they advocate for, is less so, like, let's wipe these people out kind of eugenics and more of a let's outbreed these people kind of eugenics. Like, let's just outbreed them. We don't have to lay a finger on them if we can just outbreed them, is the logic they're using.
Stable populations.
Okay, Simone, I know that you're planning to have 7 children, I think. You've got 3 on...
What's fucking hilarious to me, by the way, is that, like, you hear Nazis and, like, white supremacists talk about black people and, like, non-white people just generally, like, groups of different races, like dogs, like dog breeds or whatever. It's really dehumanizing. But then when you really think about it for a while, they do it to white people, too. Like... that is just how these people think of race, similar to that of dog breeds or something. It's like really bizarre and weird. And they talk about themselves like this, like we need to breed more. We need to outbreed that. It's like, this is how, like some fucking animal logic. Like this isn't human. Like you're dehumanizing yourselves, not even just minorities at this point. Like neither non-white people or white people and non-white people are not dogs, okay? We don't need to be talking about breeding and outbreeding and birth rates and genetics and shit. It's not, I mean, obviously we can talk about it. Like, there's research to be done and science to be had. But, like, this kind of shit is not necessary. It's cringe. Kind of cringe.
Under your belt, literally. How fast do you want to have the 7? Is the clock ticking here?
Absolutely, yeah. We need to have them basically as quickly spaced as possible. So we're going in for our next round, essentially, next month. And we're going to have more than 7 if we can, basically, until my uterus is forcibly removed in a botched surgery. I'm going to keep going.
Jesus Christ. Fucking hell. I mean, she's gambling with her life, too. That's the crazy thing. If this is, like, she's had these kids, it's not a grift, it's not fake. They believe this shit. But, like, there's a good chance that, like, every 9 months or every year she's having a kid, I guess, would be, like, the cool down. A few months to cool down before having the next getting pregnant again. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, at a certain point, is she not really risking her survival? I get that we've got modern medical technology and stuff, but, like, the way I think about it is, let's say you take an enormous shit, just an enormous baby-sized shit. That probably can't be good for you. You might not survive it, but if you do, why on earth would you voluntarily do it again? Like, put yourself through all that all over again. I cannot understand childbirth. I can't understand how any woman ever would consent to pregnancy and childbirth, even not knowing firsthand how bad it is. Like, I couldn't imagine it. I couldn't imagine it. Like, it's the only thing I can compare imagine what giving birth would be is like giving birth to a baby-sized dump. Taking a baby-sized dump is the closest thing I can imagine. But frankly, I'm pretty sure the human butthole is meant to stretch far more than the human vagina does, right? Like the vagina tears oftentimes during birth. Like the taint will tear and stuff. Like, I don't think it's made to stretch as well. I mean, it's made to, but I don't think it often does it well, as like an asshole can, right? You can fit 2 raccoons in your butthole. Apparently, you can fit 2 raccoons in your butthole. That's crazy, but it actually, I bet that's real. I'm sure that's actually real and someone's done it. But yeah, apparently that's the thing. Don't C-sections exist? That is literally open stomach surgery. That's open uterus surgery is what a C-section is. My mom had to have an emergency C-section to, like, birth me. She almost died. The C-section scenario is even more likely for her to die. So it's like, man, I mean, you do you, I guess, because if you just keep doing this, eventually the numbers are going to catch up. I mean, fuck. This is a dangerous game you're playing if you think the way it's going to end is a botched surgery and not near-death experience, if not worse.
I mean, it is. Look, we laugh about it, but there's a very serious point to this. And it's fascinating because the more I've dug into it, after actually Elon Musk said what he said, the more interesting it becomes. And look, it is an argument which is argued vehemently both ways. There are a lot of people who believe the complete opposite, but there are a lot of smart people who think this is a real doomsday thing coming around the corner.
No, 100% Toast Malone. What she's advocating for is really unhealthy. It really is. I'm sure the Lancer in chat can confirm or deny because medical professional. You can fit 2 raccoons in your butthole if their heads fit. The rest of the body can squeeze and shift to fit. Oh. Well, I guess it's real. You can fit 2 raccoons in your asshole, I guess. Well, that just ruins my day. Anyway, just the thought of God, what would that feel like? Like a living, furry, claw and tooth having, angry and scared creature, 2 of them, in your asshole. And they're huge. Like, just imagine, like, apparently it's been done. Like, someone knows what that, or someone knew, I'm sure they're dead. Someone knew what that feels like. I bet that's what South Park parodied with, like, the hamster going up that one character's asshole. That's some disgusting vor shit. I'm disgusted too. It ruins my day. But, I'm still bewildered. Peak Xanderhall stream as always. Exactly. Yeah, she's actively, like, spreading dangerous medical information, medical misinformation, or not even medical misinfo, just dangerous medical advice.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to look at how quickly fertility rates can collapse. When I started caring about this, I was working as a venture capital in Korea, and I had to constantly plan out the future of their economy. At South Korea's current fertility rate, for every 100 South Koreans, there will be 6 great-grandchildren. We're looking at a 94% population collapse. Coming back to places like the US and the UK, it felt like traveling 2 decades back in time, like I was in some sort of sci-fi world, and I got a chance.
I wouldn't take any of the numbers they bring up seriously, but, like, no, population drops is not, like, a huge, massive problem. And if you think it is, telling people to have more kids, no matter what situation they're in and how they can accommodate and provide for those kids, is not a good thing. I'm sorry, having kids for the hell of it is not, like, some heroic action, okay? Nothing about fucking and then carrying the baby to term and giving birth alone makes you a hero, okay? You're not a hero for that, all right? Providing that kid with a good childhood, a good home, good education, a good upbringing, and safety and love, that makes you a hero. That is impressive. That is good. But that takes work. And that's not what these people are advocating for. Nothing about this has been about how this is good for the children or how this is going to give these children a better life. Like, they haven't even tried to make some delusional argument about how the kids are going to have so much fun having so many siblings, right? It's going to be like having an entire school's worth of kids to choose from to be their friends. Like, it'll be like, I could find a bullshit argument for how this could be good. Like, imagine having 100 children. They could all break up into their own cliques, You know, and they could be their own friend groups of who likes each other the most, right? And they'd all still get along, I'm sure, but like it'd be like a whole school of kids to find who to get along with most. Like I could find some bullshit logic for how this would actually be good for the kids, but they don't even try because it's not about the kids. It's not about being good parents. It's about just baby making, I guess, just making number go up.
To try to raise the flag before it was too late. Because when you hit a place like Korea...
And if the problem was purely population numbers to them, they would be in favor of more immigration, which they're not.
Where now 60% of the population is above the age of 40, it's probably too late for them to turn the situation around. And then there's all these economic problems. You can say, well, we can solve this with immigration, but then what you're doing is you're making the developed world reliant, their economies reliant on keeping Africa poor, or the African countries poor, that have these high fertility rates. And that's not a good place to put the world.
Oh no, he's trying to do the left are the real racist argument. Yeah, if we, like, allow, that literally makes no fucking sense. How is dropping fertility rates in America, or fertility rates, dropping birth rates in America harming African countries? Dog, if you gave a fuck about, like, the plight of people in, like, sub-Saharan Africa, for example, where there's, like, the highest levels of poverty and lowest quality of life in the entire continent of Africa, then you would be advocating for it. Like, you would be talking about the fucking civil wars and, like, the constant strife and, like, large criminal gang activity that like, controls over swaths of people's lives there. Like, we literally fucked so much of that continent. Like, everything that is not the southern tip and northern tip of that continent, we fucked them. We fucked them. Egypt, I guess, you know, they're all right. They're doing okay, I guess. But, like, by we, I mean, like, colonialists, like, fucking nations, a lot of white people, a lot of powerful countries, Europe, European nations, Britain, America, etc., really fucked over Africa, like, set it back a long ways. Funnily enough, it's China that's investing in Africa right now. They've got, like, some initiative where they're going to boom their economy off of foreign investment into African nations. Like, it's going to have a somewhat mutual building effect, I'm sure, because that does tend to happen. But it's also, like, an area where China is getting ahead in a way where it's so easy for us to... Belt and Road is not good. It could have some potentially positive outcomes. One of them being, I've read quite a bit about the Belt and Road Initiative. The idea is that there is an argument to be made that the outsourcing of these businesses is going to lead to higher quality of life, because right now in many of these countries, the quality of life is so exceptionally low that even working in sweatshops is an upgrade. So while it's not good, it's like... It's like if you're dying, it's like if you're just laying on the side of the road dying of thirst and someone, like, dribbles a few drops of water from their water bottle in your mouth. It's not great, but, like, it might keep you alive a little while longer. You know, it's like, fuck, I'll take it. It's a debt trap program. It could be, yeah. It could end up being similar to the peonage slavery situation in, like, Qatar. That I do worry about. They could just straight up end up, like, instituting slavery. I worry about that, and they could end up they could do a genocide there or something. But, like, I'm willing to be somewhat optimistic, you know? I'm trying not to be too doomer. My point is, like, why not talk about these things if they actually have a problem with, like, what's happening in Africa? But no, it's birth rates have nothing to do with this. The most materially prosperous African nation is South Africa, which has a standard of living comparable to the West. Everywhere else is a couple of centuries behind the rest of the world. Yep. Well, not like maybe a century and a half, not a couple. Well, no, yeah, in some places a couple centuries, I'd say. Yeah, South Africa is very much developed, at least. Like, I had a friend that lived in South Africa, and she had high-speed internet, you know, and a good computer to play League of Legends on, so... You know, I never got the impression she was living in a third world country.
World in. And then you talk to the US about this and they go, oh, we can solve this with immigration. But as of 2019, by the UN's own statistics, collectively, South America, Central America, and the Caribbean fell below repopulation.
Yes, and that is because of colonialism. For a very long time, South Africa had apartheid, and to this day, they have massive racial segregation. Well, not segregation, racial disparity, inequality, and a lot of racism. It's bad. Like white people, despite being like 5% of the population or less or something like that, hold like all the power, like all of it.
Rate. So I think people they're not aware of how far this problem has progressed.
No, and the numbers,
a few countries in the world today.
Yeah, and the numbers are pretty startling, actually. I mean, Simone, the answer clearly is we have to go back to massive gender inequality, right?
No, I mean, the whole reason why we're advocates in this.
Ooh, these guys are smart with their branding. I feel like a lot of other conservatives would have gone all the way into like the, oh no, yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it's bad. The birth rates drop because of it. But she's like, no, equality is good. She doesn't want to go like full on with the like anti-feminism angle. So at least they know how to keep the mask on pretty well. These guys are really good, or these two are really good at media appearances, by the way. I've watched a couple more of their like interviews and media appearances. They are fucking ghouls and weirdos, but like they're really good at peddling their message on TV and coming off charismatic to anyone who's not critically watching. They're really good at it. They're very charismatic to people who aren't watching critically.
Entire space is we really want a future in which there is gender equality, and if we don't take measures now, the future is one with massive gender inequality.
Right.
Yeah, guys, you see it like if you don't engage in our weird pseudo eugenics movement, then like Africa is being hurt and you're the real racist, and also women are going to be unequal somehow. Not going to explain how, but trust me, it's bad. I'm being really ominous about dropping birth rates. Just trust me. There's not been a coherent argument made. I've yet to see them make an argument for how the dropping birth rates are going to hurt. Like, step by step, here is how dropping birth rates hurts America in a tangible way. Like, a drop in the average quality of living, for example, or I don't know, a drop in happiness or something like that. Like, prove to me that there is a correlation, or it's not correlation, causation and correlation between dropping birth rates and a bad thing that is measurable statistically. Because then you can line up two graphs and we can, like, see if there's actually causation.
Basically, the future of feminism requires on more feminist people having kids and raising them in a durable culture that is feminist.
And this is what was so...
This is so slimy. It sounds good, but at the same time, it's like, okay, but if people wanted to have kids and could have kids, like, in their material situation, they would. So you're basically arguing that a lot of people that, you know, a lot of, 40% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck? Are those 40% of Americans supposed to just have a bunch of kids anyway, even if they can't afford it? I'm sure these guys probably think that, like, welfare takes care of you entirely if you have enough kids or something.
Funny,
I'm sorry, I've run out of time. I'm actually going to get you guys back another time because this is a really interesting debate, honestly.
I don't think he ever had them back on, but they are getting big again, so maybe he will again, like more recently. God, listen, I'm telling you, she wears the pants in the relationship. This guy, how is he not gay? Like, do you guys think he might be gay? Like, I'm not trying to be like, maybe this is problematic or something, but like, he's got that like friendly, he dresses and like cleans himself, and he's got that like mannerism that I guess he could just be a somewhat flamboyant straight man, I suppose, who's really well-kempt, hygienic, and like, I don't know, like the whole excitement. That's gay, bro. I'm sorry, man. I don't care. Call me problematic, call me homophobic, I don't care. The fact that after getting complimented by Piers Morgan, this man had to, like, that's gay, bro. My theory is that this woman has captured this poor gay man after finding out that he has an insanely high sperm count. His sperm count is like the highest she has ever found, like Anakin Skywalker's midichlorians type shit. And she said, sorry, buddy boy, you little bottom twink, you don't get to be gay. I need your sperm. You are now going to be my breeding mule. And that's basically been this guy's situation. And he's just so friendly and so non-confrontational. He's just going with it, you know? This could be a really big prank. That would be fucking hysterical. What if they're both gay? What if she's a lesbian and he's a gay man and they're each other's beards? I recently learned that term. And this entire thing has been the most elaborate ruse to hide their sexuality from the public and their families and friends that has ever been done in the history of fake straight relationships. Not gonna lie, he kind of gives me gay vibes and she kind of gives me lesbian vibes. It's a little weird. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little weird. They both kind of feel gay to me. Chat, all of you are gay. Literally every last one of you is gay. There's not a single straight person watching right now. All my straight viewers slowly fade out of existence. Thanos snapped. You guys would know better than me. Am I wrong? Am I delusional here? Am I homophobic? Am I homerphobic? Or am I on the money? Ace is a type of gay. If it's not straight, it counts as gay. That's just kind of how that gay's used nowadays. Let's be real. Damn, everybody in my chat is Ace. Zan, you are speaking truth. Thank you. Right on the money there, Zan.
I find this really intriguing, and you're a great guest. So thank you very much for joining me now. And we're going to do a bigger debate on this down the line after our coronation's out the way. But thank you, Simone and Malcolm. I appreciate you joining me. Thank you very much.
God, what a weird couple. What a goofy, wacky couple. Do you guys think they'll be able to have like 10 to the power of 4 great grandchildren or whatever the number was? Like the plan is like after 4 it's like if each okay. They want to have no less than 10 kids, and then each kid has to have 10 kids. And that immediately gets you 1,000 children. And 1,000 children having 10 kids each. Yeah, it just very quickly you're like it's literally like in a few generations you've pretty quickly outnumbered the world's population. If assuming that like your 100,000 like great grandkids decide to have 10 children each without fail, right? Yeah, or any of them are born sterile, failed births. Like, yeah, I guess you'd have to have more that are just like, I guess you have to have 10 children who plan to do that, right? Per kid. That exponential growth is wild, yeah. I mean, that is how rabbits breed, to be fair. God. Good God. Just, yeah, number the kids at that point. Like, you're going to run out of names. It's going to be like, hello, Charles the 587th by Generation 3. Good God. Anyway, if you enjoyed this segment about the weirdo breeders, consider dropping a like. It boosts the channel substantially in the algorithm, and I really appreciate every bit of your support. It really helps a lot, and I love you guys for it. And of course, don't forget to follow my social medias linked down below, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell icon. And if you want to support me financially, consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buying merch at the Streamlabs link down below. And don't forget, we're doing a watch party right after this stream in my Discord server, link down below. It's the main hub of my community. I do watch parties, call-in streams, and game events there, so please, 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 please join the Discord server. It's fucking awesome. Anyway, guys, with all that said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.